Hey everyone, guess who's back? It's Kamish back here with another LOC recap for you. I didn't think this one might happen this week. Kamish hasn't been feeling too well, but feeling a bit better here today. So decided I got to get this done for you guys. So here I am. And of course, we start with Dynasty every week. So looking at Dynasty, well, same old, right? Another 300, over 300 point effort for No More. Clear cut leader for the top scorer. I think it's going to be pretty hard for anyone to catch him now at this point, looking at the next closest person being, well over 200 points behind in the age crew. Lowest scoring, obviously, you could see it's Deuce Bombers. Very tough year for him, but Deuce Bombers did get the win this week, which is interesting because obviously it puts him a step closer here on the lottery odds because he's 2-7. There's a horde of teams at 3-6 now. And right now, based on where the standings are at, Deuce Bombers would get the most ballots, but now it's Forever Rebuild and Green Lightning entering the fold with 8 and 6 ballots, and then Subotica Spartans 5 ballots. Just going through each division, Golden Knights, tough loss to me. This is I thought I'm done, right? But Sam Darnold, Caleb Williams put up almost 100 between the two of them, almost 300 point effort for myself. So that mixed bag division, I'm not going to lie, it's a mixed joke. Our division is a joke. When you look at the lowest scoring teams, you got Silver Bullets there, Living Dead. That's myself. Memphis Devil Dogs isn't doing great either. He put up league low, I think 178 last week. So not a good division, but it's wide open. Honestly, I thought Golden Knights was a clear-cut favorite, but a win here and there and things could change. Canadian division, the age crew coming out as the leader now at 6-3, and I guess, well, it's going to be tight, right? Because Couch and Chicken Turtles, this was a team that looked like it was going to take off, but there's been a lot of losses there recently. Tough loss to his brother there, the Mother Tucker. So Mother Tucker blew him out. I'm sure that was good for bragging rights for Kalen. American division, well, again, No More is undefeated. He took out Killer Sheep. And in fact, we're going to be crowning division champions here soon because we're getting into week 10. So as soon as it's not possible for a team to come back and win the division, I'll let people know that they won the division throughout the week. And then the international division, well, 3 teams making the playoffs, and one of them's 4-5. Swahino is the third highest scoring team in the league, yet he's 4-5. When you look at Subotica Spartans at 3-6, interesting note there. Subotica beat Swahino this past week. 2 of Subotica wins this year are against Swahino. So he's got his number this year in Dynasty. So yeah, it's been quite interesting to watch. Looking at the game of the week candidates, though, for Dynasty next week, I only got 2. Okay, I got Age Crew taking on Golden Knights again. Golden Knights in tough. Like now you're playing Age Crew, and that will open up the door for those 3, 4, and 5, bad teams in the mixed bag division to potentially try to get into the division crown. And then the other one I got, well, I didn't say No More would be in too many games of the week, but I'm going to put him as a candidate here at 9-0. Will he stay defeated as this time he gets Clengy this week? All right, folks. So now we make it over to tier 3, and wow, tier 3. Well, not really that many close games, was there? I mean, the game of the week was an absolute joke, as we saw. New England Turncoats just got destroyed by Spicy. It is interesting to note, though. I'm sure as soon as people started looking at this graphic here, you see New England Turncoats has still made the playoffs. He is making the playoffs, folks. This is the crazy thing, by 6 points for. Because right now, that last spot would be a tie break between New England Turncoats, Throwbacks, My Wife is Hotter, and New Spicy. Because there's 4 teams tied, it would revert the points 4. And right now, New England Turncoats has 6 more points for the New Spicy. Not a good spot to be in, though, if you're New England Turncoats. If for whatever reason it was him and New Spicy as the tiebreak, New Spicy would be making the playoffs. So New England Turncoats, I'm sure, is having to start to get nervous. Another team that needs to be nervous now, Hot Chuba Time Machine. It looked like for so long he was going to get the playoff bye, and the playoff bye this year guarantees a spot in tier 2 because 4 teams are moving up, right? Right now, Black Dog took that spot over. Black Dog with more points for, now 6-3. Black Dog was a team that I thought, in the preseason predictions, a team to watch out for. He's proven it now. And yeah, again, that international divisions look pretty hot. Kung Su Panda was a guy that took over. I can't even remember the guy's name anymore, but he's started with a win, and now it's been losses straight through. You can see he's now the third lowest scoring team as well in tier 3. So looking at the top scoring teams, again, it's throwbacks, the 2504, great year for throwbacks. And at 5-4 making the playoffs right now. Then you have myself, I'm still undefeated. Wonder how long that's going to go for. And now we got Black Dog in the top 3. So looking at consolation playoffs too, I want teams to know, like right now in consolation, it looks like it would be Ooh Spicy. And I think, yeah, Kung Su Panda that would get the consolation buys. So, that would guarantee you a top 4 pick in next year's draft. So just something to consider for the consolation teams. I just want you guys to know that. Game of the week candidates, guess what? I'm only doing one. So there's not even going to be a vote for game of the week candidate because this is the game of the week. I feel it's going to be throwbacks versus My Wife is Hotter. You can see both teams are 5-4. It's a critical game for the playoffs. So that will be the only game of the week. So I will put up the vote up and just say, who do you think is going to win the game of the week? All right, folks. So now we make it over to tier 2, and looking at tier 2, I'm going to call tier 2 a bit of the upset week, right? First off, the lowest scoring team in the league, Biscuits and Gravy, beat the highest scoring team in the league, myself. Huge win for Jeff and Biscuits and Gravy to get to 3-6. I've been cutting up that division all year, so I have a feeling that's part of the reason why he won. I guess I got to stop cutting up that division. So huge win for him. And then Say My Name also got an upset as well over Van Isle Echidnas, and No Hawk Tua took care of Next Door Neighbors. So 3 big upsets there for the lower tiered teams. Looking at each division here, you see that Canadian Division 1, 3 teams are making the playoffs. It's a very good division. Myself, Purple Uni, Sandusky Sandmen. Canadian Division 2, this one's getting really exciting. Silver Bullets and You Like That are 2 good teams, but Jordan McLovin, who's been in Tier 2 for a long time, is right now the division champ and would be making the playoffs. And that's the big change in terms of the playoff matchups. The playoff matchups remain the same as last week. Just replace the name of Silver Bullets with Jordan McLovin, and the prize for Jordan McLovin would be Purple Unis in the playoffs. American Division, Memphis Mafia finally won outside his division, 6-3, trying to stay relevant there as a contending team. Right now, the 3rd seed. And Scottish Highlanders, just like myself, in Tier 3, remains undefeated. And we'll also see Finn in Tier 1 is also still undefeated. So some undefeated teams still out there, no more in Dynasty. So 4 undefeated teams, 1 in each format right now are undefeated. So we'll see if any of those teams will eventually crack. And then you can see Next Door Neighbors and Bishop Sycamore would be making the playoffs. Morning Chuba, watch out for him though. He's coming up. Big win for Morning Chuba there, taking out You Like That, actually. So that was a huge win. That was one of those ones where I said he needed the win to stay relevant and maybe have a chance at the playoffs, and that's exactly what he did. Looking at the top scoring teams, look at the difference there. It's only 8 points for between me and Unis. And then, of course, Scottish Highlanders still sitting there at 3rd. You see the lowest scoring teams. Nothing's changed there. It is the 3 teams in the American division. So again, that's why I've been cutting up that division all year. Looking at the game of the week candidates, actually have 4 here that have relevancy. So first one is me versus Purple Unis. You can see Purple Unis, if they win and get more than 8 points for, very well could take over the division lead. So you got the 2 top scoring teams in the league facing off in that one and potentially for the division. That's a huge game. Jordan McLovin at Silver Bullets. Again, we just talked about the CDN Division 2, how exciting it is. With Jordan McLovin, it's going to be the division champ, or any one of those other teams are going to have to win against their own division here because there's a lot of divisional games here late. Next one, Next Door Neighbors, Morning Chuba. So here's a chance for Morning Chuba to really, again, elevate himself to try to get into that playoff race. Next Door Neighbors, again, I feel the points for don't match the record. And then obviously tough loss to Dohak Tua, who's now only 2-7. So that kind of puts it into perspective. And then the other game of the week candidate, Bishop Sycamore, also sitting at 5-4, finally lost this week, taking on again 9-0 Scottish Highlanders. So can Scottish Highlanders stay undefeated? Should be an exciting week. All right, folks. So we've reached the final tier here, and that's the League of Champions, and of course, Tier 1. And yeah, some exciting things going on. And honestly, I'm gonna just start right away with survival. This is the thing about Tier 1. I mean, obviously, the race near the top and looking at all the playoff teams is always super exciting. But the other thing that's super exciting is, well, who's going to survive? And this is very relevant for Tier 2 and Tier 3 owners if you make it this far in the video. Right now, the two retired teams are BC Lions and Age Crew, and the rule states if one of the retired teams finishes last, then none of the active teams would drop. Well, guess what? An active team right now is in a position to drop, and that team is Too Good for a Name. And Luke, right now, looking at it, Too Good for a Name would be dropping by 37 points. What do I mean by that? He has 37 less points for than BC Lions. And I was looking at the schedule for both of these teams moving forward. Too Good for a Name's got a tough schedule, right? And I look at BC Lions, he still has a matchup against the Age Crew. I think the Age Crew got lucky against BC Lions this week. Does he get lucky twice? Not too sure. And that would mean Too Good for a Name's got to find a way to win. He's also got to find a way to get more points for than those teams. The good news is if Age Crew doesn't win another game, he is the second lowest scoring team in the league, as you can see. Sky Blue Army's fallen off a cliff ever since he sold. He is the lowest scoring team in the league now, and by far has the worst roster, I would say. And then, you got Ramrod still sitting there. So Ramrod's a huge win to really, I think, stay alive as he took out Banjo Blitz. And that was a must win, I think, for Ramrods because he's got some tough games ahead. But again, Too Good for a Name has to be getting nervous. And I would be if I was him. Looking at the top scoring teams, Finito, again, still has the clear-cut lead here, but new team in the mix, that's myself, or Business, now second in points for after a 313-point effort. And then Deuce Bombers, again, third highest scoring team in the league, 3-6. Talk about bad luck, right? So even myself, second highest scoring team, 5-4, in comparison to Finito, who is the top scoring team at 9-0. So obviously things have gone Finito's way. Looking at each division, looking at the American division, obviously No More the only playoff team there. That's all in. Like if you look at No More's draft pick scenario, again, that's an all in team. The other teams are under 500. Deuce Bombers is going to have to win out, I think, even to get maybe a flex 14 chance to make the playoffs, even at 7-6. I don't know if that's going to be good enough, to be honest. Red and White division, you can see 12th man still in the lead there, a game ahead of myself. I'm just waiting for Brian to hopefully lose, and then I could take that division, but who knows what'll happen. And then you got Susie, and then Age Crew, and then, of course, BC Lions, and then Maple Leaf division. It's Billsy Bob's the clear-cut runaway winner here. Good to see Bob's doing really well here over the last, I think it's been, what, 4 or 5 years, Danny? Your team's been quite well, or a lot better than it was early on in your LOC career. Storm right now would still have the playoff spot over the 6. So you'll notice there's a couple teams there tied at 5-4. It's Clengy, Storm, Horror Business, the 6. Because there's so many teams tied, it would reverts to points. 4 is a tiebreak, and right now the 6 has the lowest points for. So he's on the outside looking in, even after the big win against Green Lightning there. It was a close game. And then the international division, of course, we got Finito. He took care of Subotica Spartans, so Subotica Spartans not much of a threat for the division. Looks like Finito's going to run away with that division now. Clengy still hanging on. Here's a team that's sold, still 5-4, still finding ways to get 235, and he's the team that beat Too Good for a Name. Actually blew him out by 47. So Clengy's there, and then of course we all know the story for Too Good for a Name. So fast forwarding now to potential game of the week candidates, I have 3 of them for you. The first one is a battle of the brothers, Clengy versus Subotica Spartans. You can see Clengy at 5-4, Subotica at 6-3. So very relevant game for playoff seeding or potentially even just making the playoffs. Next one, I got Banjo Blitz versus No More. If there's any hope for a team to try to catch No More, we talked about it last game with Deuce and No More. Now it's Banjo Blitz. I don't know if he has much hope, but definitely going to put it up as game of the week. If No More wins that, you got to think he's winning the American. And then the last one, huge playoff seeding game. Two long-time divisional opponents since the beginning. I got Milan in the 6, taking on Krista and Storm, both teams 5-4. That one's going to be huge for the playoffs. So that one's going to be exciting to watch. So that's your recap for this week, folks. Hope you're having a lot of fun. I will reiterate that across all tiers, the trade deadline is this week, right? So you do have until the end of the Monday nighter to make trades. So I would expect a flurry of activity. Maybe we'll see nothing like the real deadline usually in the NFL where they hype a lot of trades and nothing ever does happen, right? But I think in the LOC, something always does happen, and I'm excited to see what this week brings. Have a great week, everyone.